Patacharya Namo Namaha Narayana Paripurnarnavaya Visvodaya Stititolaya Niyadi Prataya Jnana Prataya Vibuddha Sura Saukya Dukkha Satkaranaya Vidadaya Namo Namaste Yo Vipralimba Viparita Mati Prabodhan Vadan Rasyaktavan Bhuvidatpavadam Sarvesvaro Haririti Pratipatakam Tam Manandatirtha Munivaryam Namami Pujyaya Raghavendraya Satyadharmarataya Cha Pajatam Kalpavrikshaya Namatam Kamadenuve Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi Tejasvina Vadidamastuma Vishvidavahaihi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Friends, we have seen we are into the fourth adhyaya, that is the second part of the Kathopanishad. First part of the Kathopanishad we have completed with the 3 chapters on that. That is the 3 Vallis, what we call. And this is the fourth Valli. This fourth Valli literally is the beginning of the second adhyaya, where we have covered 2 mantras so far because they are so elaborate. And that we could complete these 2 mantras, which is nothing but, because till the first chapter, we have been given all the sort of tools, equipments to prepare ourselves, to understand ourselves, that is, know ourselves, the Swarupa Jnana, to know ourselves in the sense, why we have come into this world. What is the purpose behind that? That will all come when your stomach is full, when you are not hungry, and when you have got all the facilities available, and when you find, because there is little meaning, availing all the facilities, because there is no end to it, because the world will offer you facilities after facilities. Because what we had the facilities, because 50 years before, they are all nothing in front of what we have now. Because the mobile phone last 20-25 years has changed so much. So in this context only, we discussed about one of the great physicists who has invented the first CPU, central processing unit, random access chip in Intel. And he made it into, because Intel became overnight a celebrity, Federico Feggi, because whose experience we discussed last 2 sessions, where he was trying to find, he has invented the first computer chip in 1971. And from there only, because the microprocessor, the CPU, the entire, the mini computers, desktop, laptops, everything has emanated. And he's also credited with what we are doing day on and day off, in our mobile phone. This, touchpad, what we are using, touch screen, what we are using. He is the one credited with the invention of the touch screen also in 1991. So he is such a phenomenal scientist, and who has been awarded the American Scientist of the Year, by Obama in the last year of his presidency, and who has also got the Enrico Fermi Prize. He, having gone through all those things, because having invented all those things, he thought, because if it is only the neurons in the brains, which is going to give you the consciousness and understanding, and from there only, because you are able to, your mind is able to understand, your consciousness comes out of the synaptic connections of the neuron. Why can't we create, because the computers do the same thing. He is the one who has invented the CPU, random access memory. He thought, why can't it be, it can be replicated. He ceaselessly worked for 17 years. He tried to understand the neural network of the neurologist and the neuroscientist and the psychoanalyst, everyone and all, and he tried to replicate it through the computer, but he couldn't. He thought it is a sort of because it is not something, which we will not be able to do, because a computer can take the electrical signal and transfer it in the form of the digital data, because which has been given a code by the American Standard Institution, ASCII, what they call it. From there, it is being able to understand, and otherwise, because the chemical and as well as the biochemical signals, which is being transmitted in the world, and that we will not be able to make it. For instance, this year's Nobel laureate, because some of you might have had the occasion to see that or hear that in the detailed discussion, they have found something called the microRNA. We have heard about the names, the DNA and RNA. DNA is the basic block. And from there only the cells get there, because of the entire, the character and, the quality, everything and all. The RNA is the one, the mRNA, microRNA, because which is the one, RNA is the one which is giving the signal to produce the protein. When we had the COVID vaccines last year, year before, when it was awarded to those who have invented the mRNA vaccine for COVID, they have done it, by manipulating, because by giving a signal to our mRNA, by stimulating the signal in mRNA, they produce the protein which can fight the virus, the COVID-19 virus, because that is how, because they found out. So the mRNA has got a different function in the sense, it can do it. But now they have further gone down. There is something called a microRNA. The microRNA is they are proliferating every part of the body, but they produce only those type of protein which is required. For instance, for your heart, what type of protein is required, they produce only that. But that signal is given by the microRNA. And microRNA also, there are nuances, how, because they are being given and they don't give all sorts of proteins to every site. And because otherwise, because they will not be able to manage. They give only the right protein to the right part of the body. And that has been found out, because by this year's, the Nobel laureates, what we do, the mRNA that becomes. So in this context only, he thought he will do all those things. And now he came to the conclusion, look, it is not possible, all the biochemical. And finally, he tried to find, you will have to understand yourself. That is what the first mantras too have. I will also share his talk, during this session. You will have an idea about that. So when, because he was trying to find out that, and because he was trying to get into, because let me get into 17 years after seeing everything and all, somewhere around 2008-9, it dawned on him. It is not possible to replicate the consciousness to the computer. Whatever we might be knowing, we might be having, there is something beyond that. What is that something beyond? That is what he was trying to do. That is knowing thyself. That is what we have seen. The first two mantras, what we have seen, first this fourth Valli of the second Adhyaya, first Valli. Paranchikani Vyatarnath Swayambhuhu Tasmat Parang Pashyati Na Antaratman. Because all our senses are designed in such a way, they are only going out. And they go out, whenever, because there is something, is feeding for them. Because they are getting attracted to that, they are going. And then they said, Kaschit Diraha Pradyakatman. Because once someone who finds out, who is that power, which is controlling those, which is giving the power to those senses. Because we have seen in Kathopanishad, Keneshitam Patati Preshitam Manaha. What you are seeing is not, because the God, what makes you to see, what makes your eyes to see, that is God. What you hear is not, because of the power, but what makes your ear to hear, what makes your tongue to talk, what makes your nose to breathe, the lung to breathe, what makes your hands to move, they are all the power. That power is the one. What is in Tamil, there is a beautiful word, Iyakam. Idilum Yangum Yakamum Nane, when it is say, because it is that power, which propels every, whether it is a microRNA, whatever the scientists are finding out, DNA, and through which, because your organs, because Jnanendriyas or Karmendriyas, that is the power, that is what the God. That is what the power, whether you want to call it God or something, because the ultimate, the nature given, whatever that, whether whatever philosophy you belong to, because you try to understand, that is the power. That beautifully brought in Kathopanishad. The same thing has been brought out, because elegantly into this particular mantra of first two mantras of Kathopanishad, fourth Valli. Kaschit Diraha Pradyakatman. Someone, because when it is going out, why? Because it gets attracted. Because, for instance, as I was giving the example of a car has got a steering, it has got a gas, it has got an accelerator. All of them have got a function, independent function. And the function a driver has to coordinate. You will have to start the car, rev up the engine, and then you will have to put it in the first gear to move. And then as it moves, you will have to see how the traffic, and then you should go to the next gear. If something comes, you will have to apply the brake. So the senses are like that. See, if individually, if some brakes start functioning on its own, if the accelerator starts functioning on its own, If the clutch starts functioning on its own, if the engine starts functioning on its own, or if the gas starts flowing on its own, the car will not be under control. We are a car with all these things, but someone who is driving all those things effectively through, because the world with which we are gaining the experience, like the chariot metaphor, what we said, we are able to go through the experiences by using the senses, by using your clutch, you are using the gear, as well as using the steering, using the brake, and as well seeing, whether you are uphill. In uphill, you will be using only the lower gear. In the downhill, you will be controlling it with the brake. And in a plain road, you will be driving it as normally as possible. Likewise, everywhere you have to apply the sense of proportion. You know how to use it. It's not that, because it doesn't mean, you have to control your eyes in the sense you don't see anything at all. By not seeing, you are not going to achieve, you are not going to learn anything about it. You are not going to get any experience at all. Therefore, kaschit dhiraha pratyagatman, what they do, they try to bring it in control. They try to, instead of going extrovert, they are bringing it to introvert. They are controlling everything. They are controlling so that you are able to get through the experience what you are destined to get in this world. Kaschit dhiraha pratyagatatman ekshat, aishat, in the sense seeing what is seen, because that's being controlled so that you are able to see what is required for you. Avarta sakshu. You will never allow the eyes to go out. Okay, you see that, but what is required you see, and then you come back to your internal to know what about it. See, you will be seeing, through your windscreen how the road is, but then, you will try to find whether you have to align to the left or align to the right, depending upon the traffic rules. How to go, you will do that, because that is what is required. That is exactly this mantra says. It is not that, you close down your clutch and you close down. It's not that, in the sense, it is a pravrti and nivrti, what they say, it's not giving up and all. You have to drive, you have to use all your senses. You learn to use with a sense of proportion. Reasonably, you learn to avarta sakshu, amritatvam ichan, because you want to have a wonderful journey in this world. It's not amritatvam, is because you don't want to get into an accident, you don't want to get into a ditch. You want to go a lovely journey which you can enjoy, wherever you go, whether you're on a hillside or a seaside or undulations, wherever you go, you should be able to get that. This is what we have seen in the first mantra. Second mantra, because what it says, it is something, because it's being called as a vairagya. Vairagya in the sense, because immediately it's being taken as if, you learn to control everything. You learn to be so tight, because that you will stress yourself so much, you will not be, you will be rejecting everything that's being, no, not at all. It is never said like that. Neither the Upanishad says, nor our scriptures say. Nor the scriptures say, in fact, I will be quoting the grand mantras from Bhagavad Gita, which says, no, you should not have. This is something to bring the right and clear understanding. Why there are so many philosophies, which has come about, with the same Prasthanatriya of Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra, as well as, Upanishads, based on all these things, only all the great three, apart from three acharyas, there are also other philosophies which has come about. Why we have got? Because source is same, but how come so many philosophies have come? Because to understand at that point of time the mindset of the people, the life obtaining in the people, the way, because the things were there and all, because the world is evolving, it is coming through. At that point of time, when the Shankaracharya came, it was the best of time, because when he had to bring in the primacy of the Veda as well as the primacy of the experience into the philosophical stream against all the odds, in those days, because there were, of course, other philosophies were coming about, like Buddhism was coming about and it was telling Shunyavada. Shunyavada is, okay, it is also a philosophy, it's also evolved out of experience. But then, whatever you have done, Aupurusheya, which is the Vedas and the scriptures, what they have brought in, is a time immemorial, the great wealth of scriptures, because that has to be the source from which you will have to have the philosophy. That is how it has been brought up. But otherwise, the entire great, because the wonderful knowledge that has been given by the power that be, would not have been available. That is how, they brought it. At that point of time, he brought it. That was the right type of approach at that point of time, with the life obtaining at the time and the mindset of the people. After, because several years, after 6, 7 centuries, because Ramanujacharya came in, at that point of time, it was different. Because the people were thinking, because only knowledge alone, will get you everything and all, because that was there. And apart from that, bhakti was something which is insurmountable and inevitable in every walk of life. Even if you are a great jnani, what is bhakti? Because to know about yourself, you have to have a love. Bhakti is a incessant love. It is a flowing love. You should be able to love yourself, in the sense, you should be able to know yourself, because how you should have a gratitude for so many people who have contributed. And you should be thinking, because it is wonderful that God has given me this life to experience all these things. And out of that only, because you are able to see, how whatever you are doing, the karma, whatever you are doing, karma is not a sort of a pejorative word. Every one of us have to act in this world once you come. That has been, very highly brought in, in the all the philosophies, in particularly in Kathopanishad also stresses that. But it cannot be interpreted that you have to control, in the sense it is a totally a stiff control. It is a control to get, as you are able to get the vehicle across, as you are able to ride the chariot across in all terrains, in all seasons, you should be able to drive yourself and enjoy the journey for which you have been brought in this world. In that process, you will be sort of a flowing with love, and your love will get distributed to all others. That is the purpose of human life. Durlabham Manushya Janmanam, it is only for that purpose. And that is why second mantra, because just we will briefly see Parancha Kaman Aniyanti Bala, because if you are only externally getting into, whatever is being offered, you become a child, immature. But stay Mrityo Anti Vitatasya Pasham, because if you go after whatever is available in this world, you go after exhausting your energy in the pleasures of the world. You go after your entire experience, going after the wealth of the world. If you go after everything and all, because what is that? You will only be dissipating yourself. You will not be gaining anything, because it's a sort of a running stone, because it doesn't gather any mass. It will just be glowing. But you let flow like a river with the water, gurgling and enjoying, because in that process, you will be having the flora and fauna on either banks. The birds will be thronging. The river will also be enjoying, because it is giving, because all the synergy and sun is giving his wonderful energy to the entire world. And he's working all the 24 by 7. When it is night for us, he works in other part of the world, giving the light to them. Likewise, he's not expecting, but he only gives it. When he gives it, because sun doesn't get anything, because he only gives, we take it. And we only, try to control ourselves. Now, I should have a sunscreen and all those things. He gives everything freely to you. If you are not able to avail, it is your fault, because after all, because you will have to be with the nature. If you are with the nature, you will be able to get that. Atha dhiraha amrtatvam vidita. See, once you are, if you are one, who is wise, you will not be getting in, and dhruvam, which is the goal. Your goal is finally to get the ultimate experience of with the pleasure, bliss of yourself, knowing yourself. Why it is so important to know, that we will see. Dhruvam, adhruvam yeshvina na praptayante. Because because they don't get out of because they will not get dissipated in adhruvam, because they will not be going out of their, they will try to control themselves, they will try to regulate themselves, and they will try to do everything, because within their command and control, so that, finally they will not be dissipating. They know finally what they have to get is much more than, what the world is offering. You have seen ever. Because once you are a teenager, you will get some attractions, but once you are middle age, you will still have some attractions. Once you come up to the senior stage, I think you've seen most of the things, and you don't have to see anything. And most of the things, having seen, you know what is the ultimate and where you are going. Because now you've got so much of experience, your mindset is much more clearer, much more cleaner, and much more goal oriented than what the youngsters are then what we ourselves were there about 30, 40 years before. That is what exactly it is brought about. Because both these two mantras, they were emphasizing on vairagya in the sense regulating, not that giving up, regulating ourselves, taking what is required. If you have to read the book, because the book may be good or bad, but you will have to read few pages and you will have to try to understand what is the subject about. Then you can reject or you can read the book. But when you are reading the book, if you find, it is giving you wonderful knowledge, because the book doesn't lose anything, you only get the knowledge. The world is like that. The experience, from the experience, if you learn it, because you gain the knowledge. But if you are lost, because this book is good, I have got this book, because it is in my shelf, bookshelf, so it gives me some sort of a prestige. That's okay. But if you don't read, you don't get to gain. It is, life is like that, because when you are gaining experience, you will have to read into everything and see what you are apparently seeing is not what you are seeing. What we ultimately get is, now in this context only, next mantra takes us to this vairagya. Why it is being talked about is, in indirectly here, Yama is praising Nachiketa. Look, you are such a high vairagi, because through you, because the entire world is going to it. It is an indirect praise. When it says, because the senses are going out, you will have to regulate to get the best of it. And the wise men, Dhiraha, they are getting it. If you are going after the things, you are bala, immature, and but because once you will get into the traps, the snares of the death in every moment, the man who gets into indulgence, it is for him either he loses his energy, his the bodily fitness, or his mental fitness, or he dissipates himself, to avoid all those things only, so that he can continue the journey and achieve the purpose for which you have come. Why should I know about the purpose of the life? What is that so great about it? Everyone has lived, came, lived, and enjoyed whatever is there, and taken that time came. You can be, but is it the end? It's not the end of the story. Once you have this particular concept, once you are vasanas, you are going to repeatedly be tested and tried in various births. You will have to come into this world when you've got unfulfilled desires. It is a nature, because see, after all, when you when you have something, because when you create something and you destroy something, it doesn't get destroyed. It is still there. You think, you've got a plastic bags, and then you just throw it in the dustbin, and someone throws into the bigger dustbin. It doesn't go anywhere. It again comes back. It is like that. It's a simple thing. Whatever dirt, khalij, you throw it, it doesn't go out. It goes somewhere and all. But unless it is treated, it is converted into manure, it is converted into something useful to the society, then it gets, because it gets into in the form of a plant, in the form of the something, more creative, that is organic things, which will be useful, and then comes about. This is what exactly they have talked about. The next mantra is giving us, is almost, is giving the intellect, the individual intelligence, and it is giving something like a nature of God, which we have repeatedly discussed earlier also, and earlier Upanishads also, earlier Valli also, it's also there, and it is being brought about with a different focus. So here it says, Yena Rupam, because it's in your page number 88, third mantra of the fourth Valli, that is the first Valli of the second Adhyaya. 88. Yena Rupam Rasam Gandham Shabdan Sparshanscha Maitunan. We have said Tanmatras are there. It is not the, see, because when we get attracted to the objects, how we get attracted to the objects? See, when you get attracted to your person, what is that? Sparsha, the skin, because when you, I think, or you like the face. Sabda, because the way he speaks. Sabda Sparsha Rupa, and the form, she's beautiful. He is beautiful to look at. She is beautiful to look at. Rupa Rasa. And I think, because when you when you hear anything, because with the mindset, and whatever she speaks or he speaks, will be sweeter to you. Even innate things, because inanimous thing, inanities will also appear to be something of a wonderful thing. Okay, you will be, because that is teenagers, when they know, they understand that much better. Sparshanscha maithunan. Why? Because it's a word which is used so effectively, and it is sort of a word that has been given such a powerful, because it's a powerful when maithunan is, for anything, in this world to enjoy, you need one. Either you need the object or the person, or you need something like that. It is something like that in a copulation. It says, you highest pleasure, you get it, only when you are having the attraction, and finally you have a consummation. That's what it is. That word has been used, Maithunan. Okay, it has been used in Bhagavatam also. So why it is being used? Because that is the highest pleasure. A human being, whether it is 5-year-old or 8-year-old or 80-year-old or nonogenarian and all, because the mind, that says that is the highest pleasure. In fact, because so openly in Periya Puranam is said, Periya Puranam said, because what is bliss, what is the Perin Peruval? What is that, because when he was a secular, went one, because when you even was wondering whether Rajaraja Cholan in whose sort of, the assembly, it was being presented, whether it should be said or not, he decided, I will go ahead and do it, because let it just be cleared once and for all. He said, what is the highest pleasure? And he said, Kamamihu Kadalidan Kalavidani Kardagendra Yemamihu Peru Yemamihu Perudial Impinum Inbayed. He says, what is that? That is Maithunan that is being used. Kamamihu Kadalandan Kalavidani Kardagendra Yemamihu Perudial Inbudanim Inbayed. That is the highest bliss. That's what he says. Because in this world, if you want a BMW, unless you get the BMW, you will not be satisfied. You have to get that object, coupling, because it is to be available to you. Or if you want, because something of a big, because seafront house, you will have to get that. Or if you want a position, because that is, you want to be a chairman of a corporation or an MD or the chief of a place, or you want to own a big business and all, and unless you get, because that is in a position, power, pelf, or person, when you are attracted to someone, because you like to get that at any cost, that we have seen. Because, because this is how, the whole world, this is how, this entire intelligence, it takes place. When it takes place, this is the root cause, the cognizor of sense experiences. The object themselves was not bad. Because what you are thinking, what the object will offer. BMW, because I may see hundreds of BMW everywhere and all, but I may not get any. But you see, because BMW has got a brand value, unless, I go in that, because it has got you can't afford to buy it, because that is the value it gives. What is that? That is the power and pelf it gives. Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Shabda, Sparshan, and Maithunan, unless you get it, because if a man who is after Lamborghini or a BMW, unless he gets it, he said, what is life? I couldn't get even a BMW. That's how he will get dissatisfied. That's what will happen. Because this is what if it is vijanati, because if a person doesn't understand all these things, these are all the root causes, tanmatras, ruparasa, sabdasparsha, gandha. If you don't understand everything is made of the 5 elements, on that only you are giving this. Vijanati, kimatra parisishyate. Kimatra parisishyate, in the sense. What is that? Because you are going to kimatra parisishyate. Who is going to get this? Because what is that? What is knowable in that? What is there unknowable that in this world? Every object is going to give you an attraction because of this Rup Sabda Sparsha Rupa Rasagandha. Once you understand that, what is there to be known? That's what Shankara says. See, and then when he says, because if that is the case, the philosophical question that comes, because what happens, when once you had, because the first 2 mantras we should understand, it is about Vairagya. It has highlighted the strength of the Vairagya. Vairagya in the sense regulation, not giving up, regulating your mind, like driving a car. Having regulated, having done everything and all, once you are getting that particular thing into account, because once you know that, once the Vairagya is there, you have already, Nachiketa has already been praised, because it is indirect praise of him. He has already had the Vairagya. What then? When he says, if all these things, you have come out of all these things, what is you have known that? What is there unknowable in this world? I will know everything. So I am not bothered. Being a wise, you don't bother about it. You want to know something else. Having done that, what he says, now, because kimatra parisishyate. Kimatra Padisichyate is that by alone they are cognized, because it is only by Rupa Rasa Gandha only they are cognized. Because we know beyond that, because they also have got the substance, they are also existing because some power, because all the objects are existing, all the five elements have been given by Prakriti. Why Prakriti has given? Because for us to gain the experience. Having done that, if once you understand that, that is the nature of the whatever the ultimate power who is telling. In the sense, once you understand all these Sapta Sparsha, Rupa Rasa Gandha, and finally you want to have the object or a person and a pelf and power, what is unknowable? Once you know that, and who is the Brahman? Yetat vai tat, that is that. Yetat vai tat. When he says, that is what it is a Mahavakya in Advaita philosophy. Etat vai tat, that is that, in the sense, that, which makes you understand that all these objects and couplings, they are all made of these tanmatras, which is attracting you to this world. So that is what, finally you learn. Acha, if that is the thing, but then, because other philosophers have gotten, because the Ramanujacharya also has given his interpretation, is that, once you say that, because who is giving you all these tanmatras? Once you understand, you will have to know, because to get yourself regulated, you will have to serve him. You will have to service. You are a dasa and he is a swami. And when it came, because the same thing has been interpreted by Acharya Madhva in a different way. He says, look, because having had the Vairagya and having gone through everything and all, he says, because now I have left the body. The body is, no longer there, because I have come here as a soul. In the sense, who is that, finally is regulating here, in the sense, even after you leave the body, the center of consciousness, which is giving you the vasanas and finally takes you everywhere, that still you are under the control of that highest power. Even after you getting the mukti also, you are still under the control. Control in the sense, he enables you. He enables you to regulate, because there itself, you can go still higher, because there is no end to your journey. There is no destination. The goal is, still higher. It goes on like that. So in this context, I will just give, the great example of Federico Faggi, because who has given, because whom I was talking about. I will just give, his one of his podcasts, where he has said, because he being a scientist, having known what all the things he can do, having been the first inventor of central processing unit, random access memory, the microchip, and being the first person who has invented the touchpad, which we are all using day on and day off in our mobile phone, tablet and all, having done all those things, having strived for 17 years to create consciousness out of the computer, and he has understood, look, finally what is that you have to do? You will have to know yourself. What is that you have to know yourself? That we will see, because what he says, and that's I will get you this.
Ramachandran, is there any held up?
Yeah, I'm just getting that, because that the particular talk, I'm bringing it.
Okay, because visual was not very clear. I thought any
No.
problem.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Thank you. Please.